Hi everyone, we are mom and baby living in Japan, and this is our baby Ringo's case. It took almost 200 days for her to crawl. She finally started crawling at nearly 9 months.
Wow.
This is our real timeline, what we tried, and the changes we noticed before each next phase. I heard that babies usually go through these stages in order: tummy time, rolling over, sitting, army crawling, crawling, and pulling up to stand. But that was not how it went for Ringo. Her development didn't follow that sequence at all. Some stages took much longer than I expected, and some came in a different order.
At 2 months and 2 weeks old, this was her very first tummy time session, and she really didn't seem to understand what was happening yet. It looked like this new position felt unfamiliar, and she wasn't quite sure what to do. Of course, she couldn't lift her head, and she wasn't even really opening her eyes to take in the situation. So from this point, we started very short tummy time practice every day, about 1 minute each time, twice a day, until she could get used to it. By day 5, she seemed to understand the situation a little more. Her eyes were more open, and she had that look of really trying while she was on her tummy. I could see that she was making an effort to move her head, but at the same time, it still didn't look like she was close to lifting it yet. So I felt that the best thing to do was simply keep going with short tummy time sessions and let her build strength little by little. By day 30, she had become a little stronger. She was now able to lift her head for a few seconds, which felt like a clear change from the beginning. At 4 months old, she was able to push with both hands and lift her face higher. Her chest was coming up too, and from the side it was starting to look like a proper tummy time posture. But even in that position, it still didn't look like she was anywhere close to moving forward. At 4 months and 1 week old, she could lift her head more and look at things in front of her with more interest. And for the first time, when I talked to her and told her she was doing a great job, she smiled during tummy time. A week later, I started placing her favorite bright red toy in front of her during tummy time. I wanted to see if she would notice it clearly and try to reach for it. And this time, I could see that she really was interested. She followed the toy with her eyes, and she even looked like she wanted to stretch her hand out and touch it. Around 4 months and 3 weeks, I started helping her practice rolling. I crossed one leg over and gently guided her shoulder so she could go through the motion with support. She still didn't seem to fully understand the movement yet. But when I reacted so happily, she looked happy too, almost like she could tell this was something good. Around then, I noticed a clear change in the way she held her head during tummy time. Until then, she had mostly only been able to look straight ahead, but now she was starting to lift her gaze upwards at an angle. By 5 months, I still wasn't seeing clear signs of rolling on her own. That made me realize that her timeline was probably going to be slower and more gradual than I had expected. A few days later, She was still trying hard, but it didn't look like she knew what to do with that position yet. At 5 months and 1 week, instead of just making tummy time longer, I started trying different kinds of support. I placed a cushion under her tummy and tried positioning her at a slight angle. A few days later, we were still trying small changes to make tummy time feel more encouraging. Placing our dog Tsuri-chan right next to her, hoping the sense of company would help. By 5 months and 3 weeks, it looked like she really wanted to move forward from tummy time. She would tense her body, try to move forward, and suddenly let out a loud, frustrated cry. It started to look less like simple effort and more like disappointment. Around 6 months, I started noticing that she still showed almost no interest in rolling on her own. So I laid her on her back and placed books around her, hoping the setup would make her want to turn. But even then, she stayed on her back the whole time. It was becoming clear that rolling was still not something she was choosing for herself. Then around the same time, I finally saw her roll for the first time. I didn't catch that first moment on video, and it looked more like momentum than the movement she fully meant to do. But during tummy time, when I supported her feet from behind, she kicked strongly and worked hard to move herself forward. At 6 months and 2 weeks, we started a new kind of practice. I placed a blanket under her while she was on her tummy and gently pulled it as we played together. I hoped this would help her body understand what forward movement was supposed to feel like. A few days later, I started noticing something about the blanket practice. Ringo seemed to enjoy it, but at the same time, she was still kicking more into the air than into the floor. That made me start wondering whether this practice was really helping her learn to army crawl. Then she learned how to sit on her own. That changed her floor time a lot, because sitting was suddenly much easier and more stable for her. She looked more comfortable there, and it quickly became a position she preferred. But she was not rolling on her own yet, and of course she couldn't get herself into a sitting position by herself. When she was on her back, she couldn't change position on her own and would start to cry. At 7 months old, I decided to make our practice more focused on army crawling. Mornings worked well because she was fresh and easier to focus right after waking up. So we started doing about 10 minutes of army crawl practice every morning. Around this time, I was trying all kinds of practice. A rolling toy support from behind, and floating tummy time practice in the air. And even placed pancakes in front of her, hoping they might encourage her to move. By 7 months 3 weeks, I was also working more around her hips during practice. I was paying closer attention to how her lower body moved and how stiff or loose it looked from one position to another. Around the same time, I started seeing a new movement. From sitting, she would lean forward, place both hands down, and rock back and forth. At 8 months 1 week, air kicking had started to look like a habit. She would stretch her arms out like an airplane and kick her legs into the air again and again. She was clearly trying hard, but she still couldn't move forward, and now she was starting to get angry about it. This was also when I started to think that the old blanket practice might have reinforced the wrong pattern. So I began to think that helping her get used to being on all fours might be more important. I would place her knees underneath her, but she still couldn't stay there for long. Almost every time she straightened her legs again and came out of the position. Then, during one of our morning practices, it finally happened.
That's it. Push, push. Nice. Almost. Oh, wow! Ringo-chan, you did it! Wow! You did it grow! Wow! Yatta! Yay! That's amazing! 8 months and almost nearly 9 months. Nice! Wow!
But the next day, that army crawl had basically disappeared again. It started to feel like that one time had been a single moment rather than a new pattern. But around this time, she was getting into an all-fours position by herself more often.
Pulling straight. You were going back.
And she had started moving backwards instead of forward.
Push, come forward.
It was the first time her movement across the floor looked this clear, even though it was in the opposite direction. Then something else showed up. She had started pulling up to stand. That made me think that maybe Ringo was better at movements that relied on core strength, like sitting and standing up. At the same time, movements that needed more coordination, like rolling and crawling, seemed to take her much longer to understand.
Oh my god, wow. Great.
Also around then, she was moving back and forth between sitting and tummy time on her own. She would go down on her tummy and then push back up again. That movement looked much more connected than before. By the same stage, rolling had finally started to become something she used on her own. She had first rolled at 6 months, but it had not turned into a regular self-initiated movement until much later. By this stage, she could get onto all fours, but then she would still go back to the familiar airplane pattern and kick into the air. The strength was there, and the posture was there. Just forward movement still was not. After that, she looked extremely close to crawling. She could get into position, shift her weight, and make it look like forward movement might finally happen. The body pattern was becoming clear. Then it happened in the middle of a normal day.
You just did it, right? Finally, yeah. I just saw it. Wow, I'm surprised. Just before one day turning 9 months, you finally did it. Crawling. I skipped army crawling, but went straight to crawling. Ooh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy. Yeah, you did it.
2 days later, it no longer felt like one-time miracle. The movement was still new and it still looked a little careful, but she did it again. Soon after that, crawling was clearly becoming part of how she moved. So that was Ringo's case. Many of these area changes felt small and easy to miss, but looking back, they were all leading somewhere. If your baby is still not rolling or crawling, I hope this real timeline gives you one more point of reference. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.